Hello everyone, this is Emperor Umbra here. Today's video is going to be a bit different. Partly that is because the audio got buggered. So I'm going to be doing the audio over again on this. So I've experienced everything that's going on right now and I'm going to try and fill in the best I can. So at the minute I've just spawned in, I found the book written by the challenger basically telling me my first challenge. So I accepted the challenge set for me, which was to give up the previous survival world, and now, as a reward for doing so, I'm given a copy of the Book of Legends, which will help in my first challenge, mainly to save time. So there's a copy of the Book of Legends, as compensation for giving up my previous survival series, and the world as a whole. There I am, just taking a look through the list and the roster of suits, because we have about 3 pages worth of suits at the minute. Some that I'm quite excited to play, and some that I'm probably going to craft and leave somewhere and forget about them till the end of time. But the excitement of it was, just look at the size of the list and tell me you're not excited for all these. Some of them I have started learning how to craft. Some don't have crafting recipes, like the character of Kratos, which I do look forward to playing as one day, as apparently there's supposed to be bosses being added for Kratos' crafting recipe, and that sounds really interesting to me. So the current plan for this was, as you'll find out, well, you'll find out in a minute. I didn't realise that I was reading it too long. I don't remember exactly what I was saying at the time, as I was just going through reading the roster of characters, basically stating some opinions of them. Some are nicer to use than others. I think I'm about to start reading the challenge book. We're going to get a few more challenge books, so every episode I'm going to have a challenge. I've got to complete it or I get punished. By completing it, I get a reward. Let's see if we're about to read our first challenge any second now. There we go. Our first challenge is simple. Until the end of the session, I have to craft a minimum of 1 suit. Failure to do so will result in a punishment, but if I am successful, there may be another reward set by the challenger. So my immediate thinking was, I of course loot the barrel. So starter barrels kind of just become a tradition, mainly as there are a lot of mobs, and the team decided I'm spawning on a mountain. Yes, without that food I would probably have starved. I start setting off on my journey going south, making my way down. I'm very much admiring the terrain generation, and again, I still think to this day this needs to be vanilla terrain generation. Just look at it. Look at how amazing that is. There's no other way to describe it apart from amazing. This should just have the vanilla feel. It's all vanilla blocks as well, the terrain generation, which I think is absolutely amazing. At the minute I'm just gathering wood, because my basic plan that I structured is I need to craft a suit. The easiest suit that I can think that jumps to mind to craft would probably be Robin. As Batman, I think I would need some extra steps, though I'm aspiring for episode 2 to be crafting the bat suit, but I don't know what the challenge for episode 2 is, because I haven't started filming episode 2 yet, because yes, the audio issue here took up most of my day and evening. So there I'm just getting some stone, because I'm rushing to get some of the iron, because there's exposed iron on this mountain, and I do hope to come back to the mountain later on. I don't think I do return, because I keep trying to travel south, which, yeah, I'll read and comment as it goes. I'm rewatching the clips at the same time as you. Some of the clips are sped up, so of course you probably notice I'm moving really quickly in this footage. I sped that up 200% because you shouldn't suffer for the fact that I suffered, and I'm more annoyed that I lost the audio. That was like a lot of work. So I'm just gathering iron and coal for the minute because I need a lot of iron and coal. As one of the things I learnt was a bit more of the create mod. Majority of the time I'm looking around, I'm trying to find andesite right now. That's why you keep seeing me frantically looking around. I'm trying to find andesite, but because I can't see any andesite, I'm trying to be proactive at the same time. You're probably seeing the blood visuals splatter on the screen. I kind of think they're pretty cool. They're from the Better Visuals mod. It just makes it more interactive, more dynamic. So when you're in a fight, it feels more realistic and more to be involved with. So there I've just crafted the first iron pick, which I don't think even makes it to the end of the episode, if I'm honest. I think I'm just loitering about trying to explain what I'm doing there, which is just a habit I have, as you can probably tell. So just, again, scouting around, trying to find andesite. Not seeing it, talking to the camera, as always, because apparently that is my go-to thing. Go into, like, second person or third person, talk to the camera. I'm wearing the starter armor, which is from Jet and Elias mod, and I love that mod. The armor is amazing. I hope there's another update for 18.2. They've moved to 1.20.1 of memory servers, which is a tiny bit of a shame, but congrats for them, because I really like the mod. There's a lot of mods in this that I do really enjoy. Same with like the create mod. Again, I wish they had updated the 18.2 version, because some of the newer features I would appreciate doing. And I'm going to be on 18.2 for a while because I like the Legends mod. I think there was when I pointed out why I didn't travel north. And that's because I can see that the ocean is north. And I don't want to spend the entire time like sailing. Mainly because I know the spawn rate of piranhas at the minute is quite ecstatic. I'm just made shears. As you can see there, that's going to come back while I'm collecting all these ferns. And the reason is, in the create mod, I discovered the millstone, which apparently I never realised was a thing. I think I've used it once as like a decorative block, because I didn't know what it did. And by accident, while exploring, I discovered that it can be used to make dye, which is why I'm going around like a lunatic collecting things right now. There's Mr. Piggy, or Mr. Porkers, as he shall be nicknamed from now on. Keep on travelling. If you're careful with how you're looking at the screen, every now and then I do point out when I spot ninjas, as we are approaching a dark oak forest. You probably have just seen some of them. You can see them on my map in the top right hand corner of the screen. That's what I'm trying to avoid, because I do not have the firepower to fight them yet. I'm coming after the big flowers because big flowers are amazing. You know why they're amazing? Because you can farm them. Here we've just found the rose bushes, which are crucial for making robin, because robin needs red fabric, which of course requires red dye. Just going to travel further through. I don't think I find many. Yeah, I just locate the village on my map. I will end up setting up camp there, but first, typical reasoning. We've seen a river there. We know we need to set up some renewable sources, materials. So one of the things I do is I come for the sand. Just a bit out there. In general, just a bit out there. But the reason we need the sand is actually for the villager boxes. The village. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, the village. The better easy villagers. That's it. Yeah, I'm probably going to leave that stumble in so you can understand how forgetful I am. Yeah, for easy villagers, it's just some of the boxes that we need. So we set up an iron farm, basically save time gathering iron, and we set up a farm. Alright, here we go. I end up taking that house, strangely, the first house that I see. Just using it yeah, I think it's partly because I find my first weapon there, because I was in such a rush to find stuff. End up setting up there, just trying to make it reasonably livable, because I do want to, of course, keep a base for at least a little while. I will work on expanding the base. I did that off camera, the base expansion, which I'll probably show off in episode 2, because the only footage for episode 2, well, I've got to redo anyway, because audio. The audio should be recording on this, because I'm doing it direct rather than through OBS, because my OBS, for some reason, disconnected all my settings. I think it's because I had to integrate some adjustments. There we go. We're just casually raiding houses. I'm not going to raid everything from the houses, apart from like key assets, because I don't want everything. Because, again, over time, I am hoping to expand the village, try and make them into like shops and stuff, having villagers like operate their own village, probably in the easy villager boxes, just to keep them safe. But here's the first example of how like dangerous it is. This place is a zombie magnet. Those are the first 2 zombies, and we of course get the zombie head. I think that's the first and only zombie head to date that I currently have, but that might change. It might be in episode 2 that I have like 100 zombie heads, but for the minute I'm just looting all the hay, and the reason is very simple: farming animals, because we can spam the hay, feed them, and just loot the place, essentially. So we're getting all the materials we need. We need a lot of leather, because all the suits basically require leather, and they also require fabric, so that's why we're going to go out of our way to make sure to get fabric. Just grabbing the rose bushes there. Despite the fact I've jumped past it, I will later realise that I've jumped past the sunflower, which is one of the crucial flowers I need for crafting Robin. The reason being, it's a 2-tall flower, meaning that if I use bone meal, I can replicate it. And currently that is the key way to get yellow dye. I, of course, am oblivious, so I've walked past it multiple times. That would be the first strike of lightning, which struck the house. Eventually I get around to fixing it, but not on camera, because that more felt like chores. I basically did loads of boring stuff off screen, like building the shack a little bit bigger, farming sheep, farming cows. Yeah, boring stuff. Tiny bit of mining, which is just basically mining downwards a bit. Nothing major. I think I got like a couple diamonds in the second half of the segment. That's about it. I don't think that'll probably be in the final video, because it was boring. Honestly boring, because I was exploring the cave, which you should probably see in a bit. Sorry if that's spoilers, but it's just me having to go through this all over again is just awkward, and I'm rambling a bit. Yeah, this is where I set up the mine. I set up just at the end of the path there, so I can run back and forth. I'm going to put stairs in there at some point and try and make some form of traverse unit, so probably use the create mod or something, because I want to efficiently mine the area and get resources, but at the same time I want to have a reliable and renewable source of materials. So there we've set up the first iron farm, which basically becomes part of our efficiency, because we need to cut down production times and increase the efficiency. So we've got iron tackled right now, so we're going to try and set up more of those over time, so that way that produces iron and we don't have to build an iron block generator, because of the block generator mod, or generator block mod, depends how you like saying it, because I've seen people comment it both ways, but we'll see how it goes. So of course there are the sheep cut to us finding the cave. So I've been mining down from where I started that cave at the top. Here's me just ambling and jumping around. I've made myself a rapier for a better weapon, because the sai requires them to come a bit too close and I take quite a bit of damage. We're just gathering copper. I'm looking mainly for andesite and redstone at the minute. But of course I'm going to gather copper because we need it in the crafting recipe for the electronics, because the electronics are 4 copper ingots and 5 redstone. There's a demonstration of the creeper confetti mod, which I absolutely love as a concept, because I feel like that should be the vanilla rather than the over-the-top explosion animation, which just more irritates you over time. But the confetti seems child-friendly, while at the same time being entertaining. Okay, we see how zombie magnet the area is, as that's something like the 8th zombie that I faced in that day-night cycle. So the day-night cycle is set up using the time control mod, so each is, rather than being 20 minutes day, 20 minutes night, they're about an hour a day, hour a night, so that way you can get more done. So I lightly traverse the cave, mainly because I'm not trying to go for a big mine or a big explore, because the main goal is trying to get to the 30-minute mark, because each episode needs to aspire to a minimum of 30 minutes and a maximum of 40 minutes, and I don't go that way. If you have sharp eyes, you'll see why. The black figure in the background that jumped past, emphasis on the word jump, not teleport. I spotted a ninja teleport, so I just went, yeah, I'll go the other way. Which ends up being a stroke of luck. We also find Cyan Axolotl head. Let me know, is the Cyan Axolotl the rare one? If so, does that mean this head's super rare? I somewhat hope so, but at the same time I know that I end up misplacing the head somewhere when moving the chests later on. Here I'm just grabbing the andesite because we need it crucially for the create mod. You know, the mod that heavily relies on iron ingots and andesite. Yes. Yeah, that's just the expense. Here we do just a bit more traversal. Oh, there's the redstone. I was quite lucky with redstone being that close. I was expecting to go a lot deeper. Okay, this is the point where I continue working on the create mod, or rather start working on the create mod, because here I'm trying to craft the millstone, which is crucial into our process of getting dye, because normally it would take a while to achieve most of the dyes that you need, such as green dye, because green dye in vanilla you of course need a cactus. So far I don't know where the desert is. I'm not going to go out of my way to look for it, because I'm thinking on the basis of logics. We have ferns, we have a millstone, so the ferns that we collected earlier we're going to chuck into the millstone, blend them up and get green dye, which saves us a lot of time in the long run. So quickly sleep so we can save a bit of time, and then we go back to work. Right now I just try and work on a little bit of an area where I can assemble some stuff. Later on I do a bit more or terraforming, in the boring sense of just filling in a layer so I can build a house. Not even a house, it's more of a hut. There I confuse the mod with another mod, so I begin to grab the stuff to make the dyes. So of course my inventory being jam-packed, I try and place down chests, then realise I am a fool and have to move the chests instantly. I end up reorganising that specific chest multiple times, and you'll probably see it and go, wow, he really is bad at organising stuff when he's rushing. Normally I like to plan things out. There's the sunflower that I mentioned earlier, how I overlooked it multiple times and was thinking, oh, I need to find a sunflower, until I realised there was one right there that I ran past multiple times. Let me know how many times I did run past it in the comments. Here's me eating a lot, because the create mod of course requires you to use potential energy, which is luckily available, just requires manual labour. There is us using the bone meal, because there just happened to be a skeleton there, so we use the bone meal to get more sunflower, and we're going to use that to get more yellow. That's just going to tackle the harder part. Here is us getting the red. Red somehow becomes the easiest of the fabrics to achieve. I think it's because how easy red dye is to obtain. Whereas yellow dye and green dye, I would say the slightly harder ones, because you have to put that slightly bit more work. If you don't make the shears and crop the ferns, then you overlook it, and it can cost you greatly, in my opinion. So here we are, just beating the wheel around again and again. While the particles are going on the milling stone, or millstone, that indicates there is a solid material in there. When those particles stop, it indicates it's done. As you will notice with better visuals though, tagging along the same time, every time your health hits 3 or less, there's a slight fade in and a tint to the screen indicating your malnourishment, which I think is a great detail, and it reminds you, as like a kind of visual reminder when everything starts going like a funny colour, that you need to eat. The amount of times I forget in Minecraft to eat, and that's one of the things I want to tackle here. So here we go, we're chucking the sunflowers in, we're going to make the yellow dye. We don't need a mass amount of yellow dye. I think we just needed 3 leather. Was it 3 yellow leather and the rest was just yellow fabric? Or I might be confusing the recipes. Let's grabbing the yellow, let's grabbing some red. Any second now. Yeah, there we go. We can make the greens. I think green wool is the last one that I managed to get enough. I start blending the white, because if you grind white wool, or any wool really, you end up getting string, which is probably the key material I think would be the hardest to obtain. Everything for Robin. Because everything else we've managed to efficiently set up a farming mechanism for. It's the second you work out that we need X amount of wool to blend up into string, because in vanilla we'd be looking for cobwebs, we'd be looking for spiders, looking for traps, trying to find how to get it. So the top row starts to become the recipe row, so I tend to nickname it. So that's whatever you're working on is the top row. So while I'm working on it, I'm trying to craft stuff. So we've got the 2 electronics. That's the first bit that we've got a whole set of. We need 5 sets of materials in general, which are just 12 of green fabric, 8 red fabric, 6 yellow fabric, and 8 green leather. I think leather we're about to grab in a minute. Here we go. So we start to feed the cows that I keep tending to forget about. Someone told me to use an axe. Apparently that was supposed to be better. I don't think the stone axe is that efficient. I come to learn that, but then I realised with the iron rapier it has a sweep attack, which I tend to forget about, because there is a tiny issue with Gecko Lib. That being that I don't have Gecko Lib on here at the minute, because there's a compatibility issue for some reason with Gecko Lib and I believe it's the Misk pack, because Kratos does not like Gecko Lib. Kratos hates Gecko Lib, in fact. It's the one ability, they're working on it. The amazing team working on the Legends mod, they're working on it. They're going to fix it. They're going to let us know with the next update when it's compatible, because I do love Better Combat as a mod. One of the greatest mods of all time in my opinion. I'm not going to do any form of ranking of mods anytime soon, because that would be way too hard. But here we go, we're doing the wool looting. So we're just going to get a load of wool, start making as many of the fabric as we physically and possibly can, because we need a lot. As I said, so here we go, we're just crafting up a load. We're realising, we have white wool. Why didn't I just dye that with the excess and then just, yeah, here we go, we're blending the excess red, and that's just to make this string. You're seeing how many recipes and stuff comes up when you're looking at stuff. I'm going to try and work on the create mod in general, because there are so many machines that I've seen people do that look so fascinating, and I do want to try and make a reduced tick farm system. I've seen a few people do it, so it only operates when you're AFK and stuff, because I could do that, leave the account logged in, let the farms run, and then when recording just like turn the farms off. Simple. Because in the previous survival series I used the block generators, which are great, but they create monstrosities that I built for them, aren't that good because they were so laggy. The world is so laggy. That was one of the key reasons. So the reasons that I swapped across and started a new world are lag, running out of ideas on that world, ore generation, and new suits. Being that with the new suits there are new ores and stuff, there's been changes to the mod pack, so I had to change all of those. So a new world was essential. So all the ore generations will be better, they will have higher chances compared to before, because there were preloaded chunks before, because we didn't have so-and-so character. For example, Green Lantern. There would be no overwrites in any of the chunks we've explored, and we've explored pretty far. That's why for Survival Adventures, the basis of the idea is we need to create renewable sources and try and limit our further exploration outside of the village to only when we need to, because we need to complete challenges every episode. So the first challenge is pretty simple, as we're just working on making our Robin suit, because we need to craft a minimum of one suit by the end of the episode, or we get punished. I don't get to know what the punishment is till the next episode begins. I don't get to know the reward if you complete said challenge until the beginning of the next episode, when the next challenge book drops. I don't get to find out where they drop, I don't get to know the challenge. I just find it, do it. If I fail, I get punished. If I do it, I don't. Here we go, we're coming towards the exciting point. So in that top row we have all the pieces. I think I end up with an excess of 2 yellow fabric, because like a fool I just picked up. So we're about to grab the book, we go outside, and I make multiple comments about the outfit being way too tight. Let's craft this suit. So it's the default Robin because we don't have any alts, and let's see how it goes. Okay guys, attempt at recovery footage for Robin. So I've loaded up the first backup of the map just so I can demonstrate the suit without spoiling too much for the next episode. So hopefully you have some audio for this. I'm going to just demonstrate a bit of the suit. So here's the Robin suit. Of course, looks very tight on me, and it feels very tight. Kind of feels like an outfit that's 2 sizes too small and you've squeezed into it. As you can see by my skin, it looks very, very too tight. But I want to demonstrate some of the abilities of Robin. So firstly, using the H key, you can equip your weapons. So here we have the bow staff, which I kind of feel like needs to be a bit more of a center grip rather than like an angular or end grip. And we have the grapple gun. I kind of prefer when it's called a grapple launcher for some reason. So that's going to allow us to traverse easier. So we have the fireplace up here, or the campfire, which is the chimney. I do like that detail. It's very nice, very colourful, very cool. But let's have a look at the gadgets. So if we look at our R key, we have the utility belt. We have the gadgets of freeze grenade, gas capsule, smoke bomb, heated birdering, electric birdering, explosive birdering, and birdering. So birdering is just a projectile. I will probably demonstrate these while using them in the next episode. I just wanted to show a bit of a teaser and prove that I made a suit, because if I just showed a clip bit, you could have gone, yeah, that's not a real suit, is it? He's just put on like an outfit. Definitely a real suit. Definitely. My C is my flying kick, which I can launch myself pretty far. So the majority of the time you're going to want to use your bow staff, as a lot of the abilities are reliant on it. We're going to do a sweep kick, which is pretty fun. It's a nice acrobatic character. You can do your X, which is attach explosive. Will it detonate? Will it detonate? No, it won't. But you can set an explosive on an enemy and move out the way pretty quickly. We have G, which is our flying Grayson, of course alluding to his secret identity. Just throwing an explosive down. It's very destructive of a character, a lot of damage and destruction. I'm going to save Robin's Reckoning for when we actually need it most. The Alt to the H key though, your weapons equip is your detective mode. This is going to come in handy locating mobs and maybe other players at some point. But that way we can like sneak around a bit easier if we're raiding or robbing another village. We don't have to worry about iron golems because we can see them. The alt to sweep kick happens to be clean kick, or clean sweep rather, if my eyeballs were in the right way, which is nice to just use the bow. How do I do that? Oh, pretty cool. We can actually glide using the suits. I don't know how easy it is for Robin. Okay, a bit of a bug. But hopefully, if I can, I want to be having the bat suit for the next episode. But we'll demonstrate Robin more while I'm working on the bat suit. I have just dropped that. I have just dropped my bow staff. And it's despawned. So I've got to wait for the detective mode to die down to re-equip everything. Again, it's a really cool character. You even have a soundboard. I can't do the theme tune. I don't actually know where his theme tune is. But you got
I want a rematch.
some nice cool lines.
I guess I'm just invincible.
Give it your best shot.
You're going down. Loser. You're an oversized klutz and your feet smell like motor oil.
No matter how you do the math, it all adds up to you going down. So, are you going to go quietly?
I do love having these characters with voice bits. You even have like toggle helmet, which I kind of feel dirty with this mask for me, because you just go to my eyes. Though I do love that detailing on the mask. It actually looks like I've got like a lens filter, which I have a tiny bit of experience with lens filters because I tried making my own masks and helmets and trying to get them right as good as that. So you can kind of see the pupils, but not massively. But it fits quite well. I'm going to try and hope to make another suit for the next episode, but I do enjoy Robin quite a lot. I'm not going to spoil the ultimate. I can probably tease. There we go. This is roll. He goes pretty far with that roll. The acrobatics are pretty good for traversal. We're going to use that a lot because we have so many places we go explore. Yeah, like the village down there, which I don't think I pointed out in the recording. But still, we'll tackle that at some point. I just wanted to show a bit of the character off because we spent the whole episode crafting him and I didn't get any time demonstrating him as a whole. So here's just a bit of the recording for him. You're going to see more of him in episode 2, more of the suit. I am hoping to put a building up or make somewhere that I'll store the suits because I don't want to lose the suits after I craft a new one. Though I do feel really derpy in this because I'm in my roleplay skin if you didn't work it out. So if I take this off, this is actually a roleplay skin of mine. Oh! That ran out. That was kind of cool, being able to do the backflip and stuff. Yeah, I'm in my roleplay skin, not my Survival Adventures skin, because I forgot to put it on. It just happened to be lucky that I forgot to put it on again while doing this bonus clip of showing off Robin. So I'm going to try and clip this so it's not too massive and hopefully we stay in the time parameter. In fact, there we are, we're at 6 minutes. I think the video is 25, so we've come to like 31 minutes. I might clip a bit of it. So what I'm going to do is say so long, farewell. If you liked what you saw, then make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all the fancy buttons and stuff. Tell me your favourite bit. What you want to see. In fact, suggest a challenge. What challenge should I do? What should be the punishment if I fail? And what should be the reward that I get for doing so? So for now, so long, farewell, and may the force be with you always.